With the Cougars returning to Florida, it's our pleasure to welcome Christian Rasband, the BYU Alumni Chapter Chair for the Orlando area, and his dad, Elder Ronald A. Rasband of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who also sits on the Board of Trustees. Happy holidays to the both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having us. Great to be with you today.
Happy to join with my son.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
We got a snowmobiling question for the two of you, but that's going to come in just a few minutes.
Are these some granddaughters that we see in the background, Elder Rasband?
Yeah, I've just had a sweet little luncheon here with some of my family, and they came in to see me, and they're all Cougar fans.
Hey, we love that. Hey, guys, welcome to the show, everybody.
Now we have a record of 5 Rasbands on the show.
That's right. We've
tonight.
never had 5. We've never had 5 for sure.
Never had 5.
No, it's 7.
Is it
Here,
Shannon, get in there. What are you doing?
Okay.
There we go.
There they all are.
The whole gang is there.
Dave.
Hey, Dave.
And, there's my wife, Sister Rasband.
There we go. Sister Rasband is joining the show. We're so glad to have you all on with us. This is great.
We've kind of bombed your show today. I'm sorry.
We did not. Well, Christian, since the Cougars are starting in your neighborhood in Florida, let's start with you and the alumni activities that you and your group are putting together ahead of Saturday's Pop-Tarts Bowl. What can you tell us?
We're so excited that BYU ended up coming here to Orlando for their bowl game. We have been prepping hard for the last few weeks. Usually we have about 8 months to prep for a tailgate, and we have about 2 to 3 weeks for this one. But we're going to put on a great party here in Orlando. BYU calls it a party with a purpose. And so we're going to be joining at Jones High School, which is address 750 Rio Grande Avenue here in Orlando. It's a high school that's just basically right across the street from the stadium. So it's going to be excellent. People can park, they can walk over to the tailgate and then walk right over to the game. Super convenient. And we're thinking we're going to have north of 3,000 people at our tailgate, which is just going to be incredible. It's going to be a great gathering. But one of the big things about these tailgates, like I said, a party with a purpose. So we are going to be doing a great Cougs Care project where we're going to be benefiting Catholic Charities. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has actually been incredibly generous in backing this and wanting to partner in doing this good and giving this service to the local community here in Orlando. And so they have 1,000 hygiene kits, and I put my eyes on these. There were 4 pallets for these hygiene kits. And then they're also sending 40,000 pounds of food for this service project. And we hope to add another about 10,000 pounds of food at the tailgate. So it's going to be a great outreach to Catholic Charities that does a lot of great work here in the Central Florida area. And we're really looking forward to it.
Christian, the BYU and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, I don't know if notorious is the right word. They have a great reputation of when they come into town, they leave a place better than they found it. And this collaboration with Catholic Charities, what's their reception been like as you've partnered with them to get this all going?
Yeah, they've the church and Catholic Charities actually has a really wonderful relationship here in the Central Florida area. And so there's been a lot of projects leading up to this. So the church knows all the leaders of this organization. And when we knew that we were going to be wanting to partner with a charity, it was a very, very easy connection to choose Catholic Charities. Because like I said, they just do so much good here in the Central Florida area. And they have a lot of great connections with people who are in need. And so we're gonna try and help partner with them to help those people at this time of year.
It feels like you should get some credit for bringing the BYU Notre Dame series to fruition that we just talked about a few minutes ago. Nice job. So you got the whole thing coming together.
Yeah, we started with the Catholic Charities, and it took us right to Notre Dame. It was
Perfect.
Elder Rasband, through your church assignment, we've watched you get very involved with BYU sports, your interactions with the students and both the fans and the student athletes. How much fun has it been for you to be around these kids?
It's been remarkable. I had really no idea that when I was given this assignment in church education that I'd have such a wonderful opportunity to associate with the athletic programs. So it's been a bonus for me all the way. And add to that, I can involve my Cougar fan children to participate with us. It's been just marvelous. I've loved it, and hopefully I've been able to do a little bit of good while I've been involved.
You know, this football team under Kalani Sitake is 22-4, Elder Rasband, over the last 2 seasons, which is remarkable. And I know that you've offered more than one pregame speech, and I'm wondering, do you have a favorite where you felt like, man, you left and you thought, I was really on my game on this one. I really motivated these guys. Do you have a favorite pregame speech, a game that you spoke to the team before at?
Yeah, I've got 2 that come to my mind. One was I gave them a message about what David O. McKay said on his mission when he said one time he ran across a Shakespeare statue, and it said, "Whate'er thou art, act well thy part." And I said that to the football team, whether they were starters or second position or third position or trainers or whatever they did, the coaching staff, "Whate'er thou art, act well thy part." And that was one of my favorite pregame speeches. The second one that I gave followed that one the next year, and it was, I didn't think that was good enough to say, "Whate'er thou art, act well thy part." I said in the scriptures, the Savior said to multiply your talents and to add to them. And so if you're great, don't sit on those laurels, but multiply them and become better than you were before. And the team really liked that one too. So those were 2 that come to mind.
Have you got something special planned for Saturday? Have you been saving something up for the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
That is a very good question, and I'm not settled on it yet. I kind of need to get there on Friday and feel the vibes of the team, and then I need to know if Kalani even wants me to. I don't ever just do it. I do it if he invites me, and if he does, I'll have something to say.
Yeah, I think he's going to.
Yeah,
he's 22-4 with your speeches. I think he's going to.
Elder Ronald A. Rasband of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Christian Rasband, the BYU Alumni Chapter Chair for the Orlando area, are on the Wise Guys tonight with us. Elder Rasband, how important are sports at BYU to the Board of Trustees, especially considering how things have changed in recent years with NIL, the transfer portal, the challenge to retain coaches? The college athletic landscape has really, really changed. And what role in your mind does college athletics play?
I like what Chris said in his message to you at the beginning, how they have been very informed and involved in providing a tremendous service project. And as you brethren know, as you've traveled with the team, you know that in some of the cities we've had BYU TV there to run stories about the opposing team, about people on their team. The church has gone out of its way to try and build great sportsmanship. And this is done through offering service, and especially in an era where there have been some chants against BYU at certain facilities. BYU wants to be the absolute opposite of that. We want to be the best in sportsmanship. We want to be the best at loving our brother and our fellow man. And so the church is happy to be able to work through BYU Athletics to be able to do this. There's no question that it's a difficult environment with this NIL season. And BYU, you've done interviews with Kalani, with Brian, with Keith Vorkink, with Shane Reese, with Elder Gilbert. You know that the church is committed to our mission. And the mission is always going to be first with the church, whether it be any of the athletic programs. And the minute we lose sight of our mission to bring souls to Jesus Christ, to have our student athletes know what that mission is, we will have lost sight of what our real mission is. So NIL just forces us to be more focused, laser focused on making sure that we put our mission first in everything that we do.
Elder Rasband, when A.J. DeBonsa, Bear Bachmeyer, and Jane Hedegren headline a freshman class of dynamic athletes, BYU's a very special place, and everyone seems to know it, both for members of the church and for those who come here from other faiths. And it seems to support one of your favorite slogans, "The world is our campus." What does that mean to you?
Well, it means that BYU is spreading its wings. It is not only appealing to the Latter-day Saint athletes, but it's appealing to all athletes. Each of those players that you mentioned were attracted to BYU not because of the price tag or not because of money, but because they felt something different on the BYU campus. And we're proud of that, and we're grateful for the honor code. And we don't hide from it, and we don't hide it from our athletes. We want them to know everything that we are. And if they don't feel comfortable, then they should go somewhere else. The BYU has a mission. We have a purpose. We want our student athletes, whether they be members of our faith or not members of our faith, to embrace the mission and the message of BYU. And that is spreading all over the world.
Well said. Hey, we saw you and Elder David A. Bednar at the Big 12 championship game, and we were impressed. You guys were throwing the football around together. There's some good tight spirals in that game of catch. So were you a high school quarterback growing up, or were you more of a side yard sandlot quarterback?
Well, definitely. My son could answer that. I was the sandlot quarterback. And for years, even this year on turkey bowls at Thanksgiving, I was throwing to members of my family and missionaries that happened to be joining in. And I was never a high school or college quarterback, but I was definitely a very fun and engaged sandlot quarterback. What do you think, Christian?
Well, I would say maybe not a high school quarterback, but a MVP dad quarterback. We spent hours and hours in the backyard and walks and anywhere you can imagine, throwing a ball back and forth. And so he's perfected some of those skills and throwing them to his son and to his grandkids. And it's always fun when we can get him to do that.
Look, that over-the-top release reminded us a lot of Mark Wilson, to be honest.
I mean, I didn't break down the footwork because, I was just so taken by the nice tight spiral that he was throwing that I didn't even go down and try to break down the footwork, but I thought it was pretty good.
Well, that's really a compliment coming from you guys that break down everybody's every move, and to think that you were even considering how I threw that ball is really happy news for me.
Heck yeah. Hey, before we get to keys to the game, tell us about this Christian Rasband over there in Orlando doing so many good things for his family and his career and for BYU alumni. And I know you have 3 daughters, and then came the boy. Give us some of your feelings of Christian.
Well, we have 4 beautiful daughters.
Okay.
And Christian is our 5th and only son. And he has been for Melanie, my wife, and I, just a treasure and a joy. For me, I got to do all of my athletic dreams with him. and he, a good alumni of BYU, living down there in Florida, and probably one of the very few of Cougar Nation that was very happy that BYU was coming to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl and not to a CFP game.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very happy to be there to spend a couple of days, not only with the BYU football team, but with Chris, his sweet wife, Mo, and their 8 children. 8 of our grandchildren are in Orlando.
That's
so
awesome.
very.
So Grandpa's coming to Orlando, and Grandma, and it's going to be, and the Cougars. That's like a trifecta. That's
like we talk about prolific athletes all the time. Christian is prolific in his family. That's a prolific family, man.
Nice job, Christian. Okay, let's get 3 keys to a BYU win on Saturday. And I know the 2 of you have conspired on these. So Christian, let's start with you, and then we'll finish with Elder Rasband.
Well, I'll tell you that Elder Rasband and I have become quite well. I've reeled Elder Rasband in. He was raised a U of U fan. I was as well, but I will tell you that going to BYU and watching them over the years, I'm about as big of a BYU fan as you can find out there, and so.
Christian, everybody loves a conversion story.
Yes, fantastic.
Now we talk about those all the time in our faith, but this is one of the great conversion stories because I know that your father, Elder Rasband, and Elder Huntsman were big Utes. So the fact that you were able to convert him over to the light is impressive.
Well, I got to be careful and say he's still a big Utah fan. He has a lot of love for both schools, so I don't want to anger another fan base by saying that they'd lost Elder Rasband by any means. But
Chris, you are so wise in making that comment. Thank you very much.
Well done.
He's definitely fallen in love with the BYU community, and so in also, you talk about conversion story. Our kids in the next generation, we have to convert as well. I've had some very special moments at 2 a.m. watching some miracle plays at the end of some of these football games the last couple of years with my children, and half the family's asleep in another part of the house, and all of a sudden we're cheering and screaming at 2 a.m., waking everybody up. And there's a lot of young BYU fans that are born in those moments as well. So
Fantastic stuff. That's training up the child right there. Train them up.
All right, so keys to the game. So I think the first key to the game is definitely leaning into LJ Martin. I think he needs to be the offensive MVP of this game for us, just like he was last year at the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, BYU is a top 25 rushing team in the nation, and Georgia Tech is the 103rd nationally in rushing yards allowed per game. And so I think it sets up nicely for LJ to have a big day, and I think he's going to need to have a big day for us to walk out with a W.
That's a good one.
So establish the run. And by the way, Sione Moa, I just talked to him the other day. He'll be back for the bowl, which will also be helpful. So
Okay, number two.
Number two, I'm going to say, and this one's kind of cliche, but I think it's still the right answer, is we got to win the turnover battle. BYU on the year is +8 in the turnover margin, and Georgia Tech is -7. So on paper, it should be a strength for us, but I think that to get the W, we need to walk out having won the turnover battle on Saturday.
Okay.
that's very predictive for BYU for sure. That's a good one.
Elder Rasband, number three. The third key to winning the Pop-Tarts Bowl on Saturday.
We need to play Saturday like we played in the Alamo Bowl a year ago. To me, I was at that game. I've been to a few since. I've watched a few, even from around the world where I've traveled. I think we reached a pinnacle of team excellence in the Alamo Bowl. And I suggest to you that we've got to have a team game on Saturday where everybody does their best. We work together as a team, and we beat Georgia Tech.
All right. Those
Like
are
that.
three great keys.
Kalani always says, do your job and trust the neighbor next to you to do their job. And if everybody does their job, we win as a team. So that's what is that it in a nutshell, Elder Rasband?
And you use better words. Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
Perfect. I love it. So
Hey, our final question for both of you, and we sure enjoy having on the Wise Guys. We know you both love to snowmobile. So if there was a snowmobiling Grand Prix in Utah's backcountry, which of you two would finish first? And you can go back to particular times in your life when you might feel like you were the prime
at your best
snowmobiler, but who wins the snowmobiling Grand Prix between you two?
I think, younger Ronnie Rasband, I think he would, he'd have a great horse in that race. He grew up doing that. He's been tinkering with them, with his friends from when they were young, and every weekend they'd be out there. It was just the joy of my childhood to be able to, on a nice snowy Saturday, to be able to go up in the mountains and enjoy snowmobiling with my father. And so I sure love it and love getting out there with him and doing that anytime I can. I'll tell you, in the last few years when we were going to go, the church had to scour the security team to try and find somebody who had snowmobiling experience that could go with us, so he would still have somebody out there with us in case anything happened. But wow, we've loved that our whole life, and I think from what I hear, being in wonderful sunny Florida, I don't think you guys have gotten the best snow out there yet. So be able to get that so I can find a good weekend and come out and enjoy that with my dad.
Elder Rasband, it feels like Christian has conceded first place to you, so congratulations.
Well, let me assure you, he's conceding first place to a younger me. He is an animal on a snowmobile now, and there is no way that I would have a hard time even keeping up with him. But in an earlier day, when he was a teenager and I was a little bit younger and a little bit more wild, we had the best of times together on snowmobiles.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
That's a great Christmas story. Merry Christmas to the both of you, and thank you for being on our show. And have a great time in Orlando with the family and the game, and obviously before that, have a wonderful Christmas holiday. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you, and we wish the same to the two of you and to all your Cougar fans. They've been an unbelievable support to this team through this year, and we hope it continues on Saturday.
Very good.
Thank you.
And it's great to meet the rest of your family, Elder Rasband.
Yes.
So we set a personal record of Rasbands on the Wise Guys, and it felt right.
You did, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Elder Ronald A. Rasband of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and his son Christian, who is the BYU Alumni Chapter Chair in Orlando. And you heard how busy they are getting ready for thousands of BYU fans coming to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. That was awesome.
Yeah, so fun.